Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning into our NX Mold Wizard webinar from wherever you may be today. It's my pleasure to introduce Reese Shearer as our application engineer who will be going through this session, and he will join us here shortly. My name is Karina and I am the digital marketing coordinator here at Swoosh. Today I'll be your host and I'll be monitoring everything behind the scenes. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and feel free to submit those in the Q&A section below, and we'll go ahead and address those a little bit later at the end of this presentation. To start things off, I would like to first say that our company has so many things going on behind the scenes, and they're all very exciting. So please stay tuned if you're interested in hearing about what's coming up in the next couple months. We'll go ahead and discuss that at the very end of this webinar. As we move along, I'll go ahead and provide a very brief background on Swoosh Technologies. We'll go ahead and start by saying that we are an award-winning Siemens PLM Platinum partner, and we've been around since 2005. We provide the best software solutions, technical support, and process-based training. So if you have anything in mind that you need help with your team, your company, or yourself personally with training, we are the go-to company for that. Some of the industry leaders that are actually associated with us are listed on the screen here, and these are some of the largest names. So just go ahead and check those out below, and you can also visit that on our website to see who we work closely with as well. So though our team has multiple areas of expertise, today's focus will be on the NX Mold Wizard. And this is going to be where Reese will break down part preparation, mold design, mold validation, and synchronized manufacturing processes. So here you can see our agenda for today's webinar. And as I said, my name is Karina. I'm the digital marketing coordinator here, and I am your host during this session. So please leave us any comments or questions that you might have throughout this webinar, and we'll go ahead and address those soon. All right, I won't waste any more time. We'll go ahead and jump into this NX Mold Wizard webinar.
Thank you for the introduction, and again, thank you everybody for joining us for NX Mold Wizard. So for our agenda today, these are just some of the topics I want to talk about, but I really want to mention that Siemens PLM has really been focusing on helping tooling manufacturers digitize their entire tooling development process through industry leading capabilities with NX. And some of the things that you are typically running into is you start by receiving your customer data. What do you do with this data, and how do you open it? Once you get it open, you got to analyze it, and NX has this all built in within the portfolio of products that they have inside of there. So you're going to be able to automate it for downstream manufacturing processes, and at some time you might want to take a look at the part, make some changes based off of some ideas that you might have for manufacturing that product, and you might want to relay that back to your customer or whoever you're interacting with. So the benefits are you're going to get the entire job basically done within the one platform. You're going to stay within NX. You're not going to throw it over the wall to a third-party software within your company. And that really is just wasting time. So let's just jump in and we'll start taking a look here. So first, let's look at some of the challenges that you're going to run into. You're dealing with that customer data, working with multi-CAD data, and it just really depends on where it's coming from. So you have IGES, STEP, DXF, DWG, pair of solids, or some other sort of CAD product. So NX has the ability to really read and modify that data from multiple CAD systems, and it's going to add the intelligence into that data when you start changing it with synchronous technology. So you get a history of some of the changes that you may have used on that STEP file or IGES file. If you really have that CAD data, there's a very good chance that NX is going to be able to open it. So once that data has been brought in, you want to be able to modify it. So how do you do that? You get synchronous technology, and you can modify that part to relay your thoughts back to the customer, how that part could potentially work better. Or maybe in this case, since we're working with plastics, you could say, the ribs are too thick, and you're going to get sinking on the A surface. So you want to be able to relay that back to your customer. So jumping in here to NX, I'm basically just going to start a new file so you can see how fast, easy it is to open up different types of files here. So I'm using a template. I'm going to go ahead and just bring in a step file, but there are other options inside of there once you take a look at it. So you got parasolids, IGES files, step file. You even have CATIA files that you can work with down here. But I'm just going to use a step file. And then once you have that step file, there's options to turn on the curves, the surfaces, solids, maybe some system data, and just bring it in. So in this case, there's no system data. I just wanted to show you the different options there. And then once you have it open, you can go ahead and manipulate it, change the colors of it so that it makes it easier for visually. You can see and point out certain faces here. So I'm just selecting tiles on the board here so everything is yellow. All right, so very quickly opened up a step file. That was a simple one. So now I'm going to use synchronous here to modify this body, and right now there's no history to it. And as I start building in different types of features, you'll see over in my part navigator, the feature will show up as a, in this case, a deleted feature. So my deleted face, and then I'm going to go ahead and just move some faces around here. Now, typically you don't really do this to a model that's been sent to you by a customer. They've pretty much thought it all out, but you may have suggestions of things that you might want to change, and you can see how easy it is to actually change this part. So that's just using some of the synchronous options in here. And with that, there's a little halo. You double click on the center of that, and it changes the different planes. If you grab one of the arrow tips, you can change the direction of it. So I'm going to use some of the selection options there to put in a blend back into this. And again, as I'm working through that, you can see I've really built in some features, and it's all in my part navigator here. So very quickly bringing that part in, and I've added some features into this. So I've got a little bit of history of what I've done here. All right, so NX has various tools that's going to help you ensure that your model and part quality is to the standard that you're used to. So you have the ability to analyze draft, shrinkage, parting lengths, cooling, and many other options inside of there once you get in there and start working with it. In addition, it's integrated into mold, that's easy to say, mold flow simulation. It's going to allow you to check for molding issues with your flow, packaging, cooling, warpage before any expensive parts are actually made. So that's a bonus there. Second, you're gonna keep the tooling cost on track because you're going to be able to see that up front. You're not going to make any last minute mistakes or surprises that may happen. So with the integrated application for tooling costs, you can calculate that with the feature to cost. And with feature to cost, it doesn't matter if it's plastic or sheet metal. There's two different options in there. You can get some costing off of that. So it's going to give you wall thicknesses. It's show you different features of your ribs for plastic. If there's any sort of openings or undercuts, it's going to make the quoting process very efficient. So it's going to be more accurate, and it's going to really eliminate dependencies on that third-party software that you're tossing it over the wall and keeping your fingers crossed that everything has been done correctly in that other software. And then once it gets back into NX. So keeping it all within one software is going to make a big difference in timing. So let's jump back over here. And let's go ahead and just take a look at the Mold Wizard interface here. And I'm going to use the different options here to validate the part. And this is based off the HD 3D interface. And with that, I can go ahead and select on the column here. And it's going to point out the information on that particular undercut. And just scrolling down through here gives you just a little bit of what's happening. So I'm going to close that and expand the information window here, and I can select the icon on the display. Again, it's going to give you the same sort of information based off of the tile that you selected. I also have the option over in the HD 3D tool to see what has passed and what has failed. But everything is passed, so I'm okay with that. And then once I'm done with that, I'm just basically going to exit the, or deactivate it and exit the tool. The other option here is the feature to cost. And again, with that, you have feature to cost with stamping, and you also have it with molding, so that's your plastic parts. So I'm just going to select that, and it's just basically working your way top down and then left to right. So walking my way down into the product information, it's going to give me, I skipped a spot here. So analysis, face analysis, and any icons up there, but I'm just going to do an entire analysis on the part here. So it gives me my overall dimensions, wall thicknesses. I've got my cavity and core here that I can take a look at. If there's any sort of undercuts, I got some ribs in here. I could take a look at that. Maybe I'm concerned about the length, thickness, or the rib height. And then any sort of openings and inserts. So I don't have anything there. So very quickly, I was able to get some information about the part itself. All right. So next, let's talk about the challenges of asking, how can I deliver that mold to a customer quickly and more efficient than my competitors? There are actually two things here. First is your challenge of moving completely into the 3D design. And second is if you're doing the 3D mold design, can you speed that process up within the software? And the answer to me is yes. NX Mold Wizard is embedded in the tools of NX, so you have all the expertise built into it. Very simple to a new user jumping into it. Again, you're just working on that top ribbon bar from left to right. So you're going to use the mold base and standard part libraries. There's a catalog inside of there that's going to allow you to just drag and drop those parts into the file. And then once you're done with it, you can really generate a detailed drawing of your production parts. You even get a BOM that you can select and bring that into your drawing also. So it's going to help out your inspection. You got your shop floor assembly persons that are going to be taking a look at these drawings. It's going to make it easy for them. And it can be done just with a couple of clicks of a mouse. So it's very, very easy. So jumping back into NX here. Here's your Mold Wizard. I have to make sure I'm inside that application in order for that tab to show up. And then once I'm inside of there, I'm very quickly going to just build an assembly. And these templates are all linked together. And that's based off of the Mold V1 configuration. So anytime you make some changes in here, it's going to connect to all those templates. Not that you're going to use all of them, but it is built into the software here. So I'm basically setting up my mold thesis, and this is going to be the center point of my mold base. And I want to make sure that I get a good edge, which is basically my parting line here at the bottom of that lid. And I'm just going to center it, so that's going to be the spruer injection site. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and check some, define regions, check some regions here. And it's just working my way down inside that list. So I can take a look at any sort of draft angles, change the colors so that it makes more sense for me. So you can see what they look like as opposed to just picking the tabs on the left here and toggling them on. Once I'm done with that, gather some more information, and I'm done with it for now, so I can go and back into defining my regions now. So with this, I have to have my cavity and core regions along with my parting lines, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit apply to keep the dialog box open. I can see those both worked well for me. Now at this point, I can go ahead and define my parting surface. Again, this is a pretty simple part, and there's different methods of creating your parting surface here. Extruded, your edges, and so on. So just hover over top of the icons, gives you a little bit of information about what's happening. So once I'm done with that, I want to make sure it's outside of my workpiece here. And now I can go ahead and define my cavity and core. So this is the beneficiary of having everything linked together. There's my cavity. It's a template. It's going to be its own component along with the core. And I'm just going to say OK on this one to go ahead and close the dialog box once I'm done. If I'm happy with that, go ahead and select OK, and that's done. And then I can go back to my top assembly and I can take a look at that. So once I get into the top assembly or the part assembly navigator, I hit the top assembly, and there's my cavity and core. So very quickly, all within one software. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my base in, and again, this is based off of the reuse library. Inside the reuse library, you've got different manufacturers that you can use. And I'm just going to go ahead and select the, expand this here. I think I might have some display issues. No matter. Instead of expanding it, I'm just going to select the folder itself. And you can see down in my member select area, I've got some standard parts that I can drag and drop into my display. So with that, I got a little legend. I got some other information I can toggle on and off. I got some roll down menus so I can adjust the index of this part based off of the legend again over on the right side. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I basically just hit OK to populate that component in this assembly. All right, so it gave me a few little errors there, but that's okay just for this demonstration. It's probably too small, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just toggle on the assembly drawing here. And once I'm inside of there, I've got some arrangements that I can create. So there's my arrangement for the Mold Wizard side A, and then I've got a side B that I can take a look at too. So it'll change the color so you can see everything that's in the B side for that assembly. So that's the arrangements for that. Once I'm satisfied with that, select OK. It places it into a folder location, and then I can go ahead and open that up later. So there's my drawing components, and I have some icons here. Again, just hovering over top of them, it's going to give you a little bit of information about what it's trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, or I can delete it, and it puts it into that file location, and then I would just open it back up later for your floor guys that are taking a look at this assembly. So next, let's talk about the challenges of how can you make sure that the mold procedures are of high quality parts. You don't want to have poor modeling designs that can negatively impact your quality and your costs. So there are two parts to this. First, you have the validation solutions inside of NX, and all of their parts that you typically would throw over the wall, those are sort of disconnected. And second, you want to be able to rework any errors that you might find as you're working through this model. You want to find that up front. So NX Mold Design offers many integrated tools to help identify any sort of issues that you're going to run into, eliminate these types of issues that you're going to find. It includes tools for analyzing the data quality and reporting them to the right persons at the right time. So you're going to be able to get that up front. Apart from the mold flow analysis, there's the MoldX 3D and the DFM Pro. And it's fully integrated into the design and manufacturing and assembly of the solutions that are really built into NX. So it's going to help you identify your design process. It's going to help you identify your design areas that are difficult. They may be expensive, or impossible to manufacture. You're going to be able to find that up front. So you're going to be able to correct that action before tools are made and you've made that costly mistake. And that's not something you really want to find. So I'm going to jump back in NX here. And let's go ahead and take a look at Mold Wizard here. And we're going to go into the validation area. So with that, I want to do a flow analysis on this. So I'm going to select my body, change my, add my locations for my gates. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and run it through its process so I can see with the MoldX 3D what that's going to look like once I run it. So it really depends on the software you have. It could run a little slow. This one is a little bit quicker. It's just small parts. So I have my different polymers I can use, different sort of suppliers, your grade name, and all I basically do is just, again, run the analysis. Once that's done, I can go ahead and show the results. So with the results, let me go ahead and change some timing here. And I got some sliders there and some play buttons, so that went a little too fast. So let's give that another try here. So with the sliders, I can see the cooling and hot spots as it's running through the injection process. There's my gate contribution, pressure drop. I've got some melting points in these sort of air bubbles. I can go ahead and show that in there too. Okay, and then once I'm done with that, I want to go ahead and take a look at my tool here just to show you what it's going to look like going through the manufacturing process of ejecting your parts. So I'm going to prep the model here. So with my pre-process method, I want to take a look at the different values, and before I do that, I want to show you that nothing has been mounted. So adding the kinematics in, I want to give it a stroke, and this is a two-piece style. So my A value and D values here, I'm going to go ahead and add some numbers in here. Let's just make that a little bit smaller than 3 inches, so 2.25, so 2 1/4. And then once I apply that, I can go back to my mounting components, and I can see which ones are in which groups. So I've got my moving group, and if I highlight that, you can see on the screen what parts are being moved, my fixed parts, ejection, injection, and so on. So I'm going to run through that and then run the simulation. So with the simulation, I'm going to be able to see the part being ejected out of this. You get some sliders there you can work through. And you've got some control buttons down there for play, forward, reverse, and so on. So just using the slider that looked well, but let's go ahead and try the player down below here. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so there are my different controls. Just let it run through so you can see what that looks like in real world case. So that looks good, and very quickly, I mean just a few minutes. It didn't take very long to set that up. So let's go ahead back into the PowerPoint here. So next, let's talk about the last challenge. To be competitive, mold manufacturers really need to synchronize the entire manufacturing process. You're going to maximize the machining efficiency, and you're going to really hit that production target that you have. The mold design data from the product engineer is used to really input that information into manufacturing group or the tooling room. And here is where the machine process, the inspection method to manufacturing the mold are defined using CAM, CMM, and related software. The output for that form is really the G code, your inspection programs, tooling data, and working instructions to generate for downstream users. You really need that for the shop floor. So there are two parts to this also. First is your CAM and your manufacturing solution, taking that entire design solution and vice versa, being able to push the CAM stuff back into NX and NX back into CAM. So you have the CAD and the CAM aspect of that. Second is how do you connect your design to production use with that system. So Siemens PLM software provides the entire integration. Again, you've got the CAD, CAM, Mold Wizard, all of your analysis, your CNN controller on the shop floor is going to be able to use this. All the models are really driven together in that same software, so it's a nice portfolio to have. NX CAM really delivers real difference through the capabilities of advanced programming, your integrated post-processing. You have simulation functions that you can use with SimCenter. That's also inside of NX here. And you're really going to be able to get a lot more done a lot quicker and be able to beat your competitors to the market using NX with Mold Wizard. So with that, how did the best-in-class tool makers achieve this? How did they get so good at what they did? Again, they're running a profitable and growing business in this. I mean, they're really, let me try that again. How are they running a profitable and growing business and staying viable in this challenging environment? They're adapting the right technology because they're staying within the same software. You're combining that people that used one technology into the next. So you've got that knowledge base. Everybody knows NX. They're going to be able to move over into Mold Wizard because the same sort of features that you're seeing inside of NX, you get that feel inside of Mold Wizard too. Then you get into simulation and the design for manufacturing to optimize that manufacturability of that assembly or those components. Again, all those tools are essentially the same if you really start taking a look at that inside of NX. So these businesses have really used the integrated CAD, CAM, and CAE software along that whole designing automation to eliminate any sort of issues that they're going to run into. So they're going to take out some of that mundane manual labor that you have of taking the file, designing it in CAD, taking out a CAD, stepping it maybe, or some sort of file that you can send over to the CAM guys. Those CAM guys are going to try and use that file, but again, if they don't have all that technology that's been built into it, they may end up rebuilding it. So if you're staying with CAD, you're going to take it over into NX CAM. You could also take it into NX Mold Wizard. So it's all staying together within that same environment. So these businesses have really used the integration of all of these products to stay efficient, make money, eliminate any sort of issues that they would have found after the parts have already been made.
All right, thank you so much for that demonstration, Reese. I'm sure that others will appreciate the tips and tricks that you just showed them as well while they use their own NX software. I'm going to go ahead and put a poll on the screen, so give us a thumbs up if you think that the webinar was great, or a thumbs down if you think we need a little bit more improvement. I will also be sending out surveys after this webinar, so you can of course give any feedback at that time as well. So as we move along and finish out this presentation today, we'll go ahead and start by asking you all if you have any questions. If you do, go ahead and put those in the Q&A section down below. We'll go ahead and give you a few seconds to do that. You'll have a couple minutes left here to go ahead and submit those. And then we'll of course send those out in our email that we send after this is over today. So we will address all of those, and then you'll get a complete and concise rundown of all the questions that were asked, as well as the answers from Reese himself. All right, so the next thing I would like to just discuss is just telling you all to not forget that if you ever need any training, Swoosh is the go-to company for that. We are working very personally with our closest companies. We have a ton of people who are always interested in our classes, and they also have great things to say about what happens throughout the process of taking the course, great feedback about our instructors and application engineers, and we always run classes throughout the entire year. So if there's anything that you need to have as a person of interest or your company as a whole, you can of course go to our website. It's at swoosh.com. You will have a sign come up that's just a little pop-up that says that you can sign up for our newsletter. So of course, feel free, if you were interested in that, you can sign up for our newsletter and you can choose whether you want to be notified immediately, just weekly, or just monthly. So if you're interested, feel free to do that. If not, you are of course welcome to just skip along here. If you are interested in training, just head up to the training tab, go to the classroom schedule and click that. And then this will bring you to our page of all the courses that we currently have available. So if you just keep scrolling, you'll see that there's a ton of different options within our NX section for NX CAD or NX CAM. And as you keep scrolling, we also have Team Center and we also have Solid Edge available for you and your company. So if you're interested in anything, all you have to do is go to one of our classes, tell us how many people or just yourself you would like to enroll. And then you just go to the next page. It will have you process everything and your order will run through. You'll get a confirmation, and then we'll, of course, take things off from there, and we'll go ahead and send you confirmations, details going forth. All right, and before we jump off today, I would like to announce some important and exciting additions to the Swoosh calendar that we have coming up. So if you haven't already heard, NX University is coming back in person this fall. We are going to be hosting in October and November across 7 different states and 8 cities. So those are listed on the screen right now, and if you are interested in signing up, you can visit www.nxuniversity.com, or you can of course go to our website, swooshtech.com, and you can just register from there. One thing I do want to say is that we currently have a certain amount of attendance, a limited amount of spots available. And the reason of that being is just due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we want to make sure that we keep the spaces as safe as possible. So we do encourage everybody to sign up as soon as they're able, so we can just keep our protocols in place based off of attendance. So if you're interested in signing up, please just head over and go ahead and register yourself or anyone on your team who may be interested. And we are, of course, very excited to be hosting these again. If you need more information, our website has all the information listed on there in terms of location, the agendas, the breakout sessions. We have everything that's basically been created by NX users themselves based on surveys and responses that we've gathered from what you all would like to see. So we are very excited and we cannot wait to see you for these events. can visit our website if you have any further questions, and if you like what you saw during this webinar, just be sure to stay tuned as we have a few more working out behind the scenes that we are ready to put on the schedule for the 2021 and 2022 year. So just stay tuned. We have some content coming out that hopefully you all will enjoy. Thank you again for joining us from all around the world, wherever you may be, and we can't wait to see you next time and hopefully see you soon at NX University. So of course, if you have any other questions, you can certainly contact me personally at karina.mcglasson@swooshtech.com. But in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. Everybody have a good day.